أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة أن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها هبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون. والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم. لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون. وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين. وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إنا أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخنا على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نؤمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وظللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you for that moving and very touching recitation. Could we please welcome Sheikh Arif with the salawat. Salawat ala Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين وأصحابه المنتجبين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى قيام يوم الدين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Indeed, death is difficult for those who remain behind and for the moments in which those going onwards, at the point at which they are going onwards. But indeed, death is pleasurable after that point for those who have gone onwards. For death is the homecoming. There can be nothing more pleasurable, more satisfying, more comfortable to the heart than leaving this place which is an alien place to our reality. This is a prison, as glorious as it may be. It is not a good place to be in. It takes very brave souls to come here and to lead the life of this earth. You may say, But we rejoice and we are in comfort. But how can you be in comfort when the majority of humanity is suffering? They are not our blood, they are our spirit. We are they are us. The only thing is that we haven't awoken accurately to the anguish that is there, to the true suffering that is there, to the true nature of this world. The nature of this world is not one of comfort. It is one of toil and suffering. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. We have created man in difficulties. These difficulties are compounded. We are struggling against these difficulties to allow for the inner being to experience home in this world. But it will take many, many years of human experience and maturity for us to bring home back here. Meanwhile, there can be nothing sweeter than going back home. As we age, we begin to see that this is an alien place. This is a place of dissatisfaction, of inner pain. And there can be nothing better than to go back home, from whence we have come. O Lord, relieve me of this anguish and of this pain. Take me back. Take me into your embrace. Allow me to taste the sweetness of union and away with this separation. But as we age, we begin to realize that this place is for us to attain something and then to quickly go back. You know when Imam Hassan said, I want to say a few things. It's just a prelude into it. I'll just maybe recount the story. A person in rags appears before Imam Hassan. And he says, "Oh Hassan, I'm a disbeliever, at least not the believer of the type that you are. Is it not true that your grandfather, the Prophet, said that this world is a prison for the believer and paradise for the disbeliever?" He said, "Indeed, he has said that." He said, "Did he not say that hereafter is paradise for the believer and a prison for the disbeliever?" The Imam confirmed. He said, "Yes, he has indeed said that." He said, "Then what is this state that I see? You in your princely attire, upon your steed, with your entourage and your lavish lifestyle, and I, the disbeliever, in these rags and strained circumstances." The Imam smiled and he said, "Indeed, if you could understand the hereafter, you will say in comparison with the truth that awaits, the life of Solomon of this earth is no less than prison. And if indeed you could understand the constrictions of the hereafter for those who are alienated from the truth," and I paraphrase the Imam, "you will say that this despicable state of yours at present is no less than paradise compared to what awaits." You see, paradise and goodness that we think of is nothing to do with the body and the bodily and the lavish lifestyles that we have. It's another reality altogether. For the fact that a person who has the kingdom of Sulaiman finds no satisfaction deep in his chest shows that they haven't found anything, doesn't it? And how strange is the life of this earth. Those with power fear death. What sort of a life is this? With that said, we have to understand that we have come into this world not because one fine day God just felt like creating us and He created us. No, that would make God indeed very oppressive. Tell me, is God not kinder than the kindest mother? Is the parental instinct within the chest of a mother not created by her author, our God? Then surely the parental nature of God must be well beyond the parental love and care that a mother displays for her offsprings, would you not say? Where does the parental love within the chest of the mother come from, if not from her author? And if He has authored a mother, then by priority his parental state should know no bounds. Can a mother ever give birth to her children to put them in toil and difficulties? Would she ever want that for her children? Would a mother ever bring a child into this world with the prospect of that child being crushed inside the grave? And then to be awoken on the day of Qiyamah, where children turn old people and mothers miscarry their children without even understanding, where a man will say, "O Lord, throw therein my mother and my father and all of humanity and spare me," with such undignified state. Would a mother ever give birth to a child for a child to undergo these trauma and torments and suffering? Well, if a mother cannot do that, then how can the God of a mother do anything of the sort? Our perspective needs to change. God has not created all of us and brought us here. There is something quite profound going on. We need to awaken to this reality. God reminds us of the pledges that we've made to Him in the Quran time and again, does He not? They are scattered within the text of the Quran. We are here under our own will, through our own will, and through pacts that we ourselves have made. We have opted for this. And the thing is that it's not even real in the way that we understand it. It's not even real in the way that we understand it. How beautiful are the sentiments of the creatures of God. Look at Hussein, under the blade, the pleasure that he feels of meeting with his God. Look at Hussein as he tears for his opponents who kill him. There is something else altogether going on here, and we need to awaken to that. Life is but a moment. All of us who are sitting here and here, have we not seen our lives pass by? We've been together for how long? 50 years? How long have these 50 years been? We will only remember major events in the last 50 years, won't we? These 10 years went like this, and these 10 years like that. And before you know it, 50 years in UK have gone. That's how long it was. It was but a fleeting moment. We are supposed to learn things here, not to be so attached with this world that it causes us endless anguish. How have we drifted away from the truth? But what do we take back from this earth of ours? Our families, we've laid them to rest, haven't we? None of them have we kept for ourselves. Look how our bones have lost their agility. Look how our memories are fading away whilst we are still breathing. The grip of death is firm upon our bodies while we still live. How deluded are we? How deluded are we? Death prevails, it spares none, because that is the ultimate reality of this realm of life. There is something to be gained here and something quite profound. The gaining is of ourselves, of that beautiful light of our Lord to emerge through us. So what is it that we take back with us in brief? I mean, what do we take back? Look at our feeble state. Isn't it laughable and lamentable at the same time? I don't know what I've eaten this morning, but I should tone it down a little, right? Or shall I just continue? Look at this state of ours. What do we take back from this world? Think about it. Fear. We are gripped with fear, aren't we? We take back fear. What will happen to me at the point of my death, and what will happen to me in my grave? And once in a while, a Maulana like me comes and gives us a happy pill to feel good about. That's the reality, isn't it? What will happen to me? Pray my qaza namazes and pray my fast. I'm just saying, this other person is praying your qaza namazes. How will it help you? Isn't it just silly? Give khums and give zakat. Listen, God has created trillions of galaxies. Our £1 million of khums do not feed Forget about the human beings. They do not even feed the microbial creatures. Leave aside the trillions of galaxies up there. Something profound is going on and we are missing it altogether. See, look, it's a worse state to be in, to be afraid of death. No, God, no. On the one hand, we say Allah is our author. We say Allah knows what is better for us than we do. Then when Allah ordains death, we run away from it. What sort of a state is this? Is this a comfortable state to be in? Allah, you are my God. You are my parent. You are the best of planners, yet when you plan sickness for me, I crumble under the influence of that sickness. Instead of saying, thank you, Allah, there is a profound gain for me in this sickness that you know better, and for that reason you've made me sick. Thank you. Now allow me to gain the rewards. What am I supposed to learn from it? As opposed to saying this, what do? We complain and we go to the Kaaba and we cling on to the black cloth and say, oh Allah, for the sake of the Kaaba, free me of my sickness. And God says, for the sake of the Kaaba, I've made you sick. Does that make sense? God, repel death from me. But you belong to me. You worship me. You prostrate to me. You tell me, I want you, Allah. So I'm taking you back now. And then you're saying, dispel death from me. I mean, can you make sense of your own mind, O human? And then you say that I am the greatest of parents and the greatest of friends. And you wish not to see me. You don't really mean anything, do you? If I'm the greatest of parents, then do you think your mother would welcome you with open arms, or do you think she'll stand there to burn you? How little you think of me. You're coming to me and you're frightened. Can a child ever be frightened of the lap of his mother? What has gone wrong with you? So in this life we have to gain something quite profound, and that profound gain is for us to recognize our beauty, to recognize our God, and to go with Him with open arms. And when the death comes upon us and the messenger stands before us, we should not say, go away. We should say, what kept you? What kept you? Why did you take so long? I'm tired of this cage. Free me. I shall recount that story that I often do. The analogy that Zainul Abidin Salamullah alayhi gives of death. Trust me, those who die have not gone away. It's just a veil. It's our mind that imposes upon us their alienation from us. They've never been away from us. We push them away by thinking of that as the end. It's separation. It's the separation of a body where the body itself was a separation from the truth. In any case, they asked the fourth Imam about that, and to describe it, I think it was the fourth Imam. I've read most of these things 40 odd years ago. The Imam said, it's like a bird caught within a cage from the time of its birth. It was given birth inside a cage, so it knows no life beyond the cage. It regularly finds its food and water in the cage. It finds that it does not starve. There is no danger, it's protected. On an occasion, the keeper forgets to shut the door of the cage after putting the food of the little bird. Now the bird sees the cage door open and curiosity prevails. It arrives at the edge of the cage and sees an unending world beyond the cage. Only a flap of wing and I'm out. But then the fear grips it. But what awaits there, I do not know. Here is security. I am protected. I have my food and sustenance. There is the unknown. Go back, little bird, to your place of comfort. Its mind tells it. But nay, the yearning to know of what awaits prevails. It flaps its wings and takes flight into the unknown and feels the freedom of life. The keeper says, come back, little bird. Your cage awaits you. Therein is your security. Therein is your food. The bird smiles and he says, after tasting freedom, what cause do I have of your little cage? This is my destiny, and this is where I belong. That analogy is of a dying person. When a person is dying, they are gripped with fear initially. But when they taste death, when they are relieved of this body, when they attain their true status, the angel says, look at the way they lament. They fall upon your body. Their grief knows no end. Go back. And the soul says, after tasting the love of my God, what cause do I have with them? I have not gone away from home. They are still to come home and arrive where I am. This is home. You see, we need to understand this place is not a right place for our existence. We are frightened, we are anguished, we are fighting, we are angry. This is the most terrible place to be in. These are the properties of our body: greed, jealousy, talking about each other, aspiring to attain the kingdom of Solomon and beyond Suleiman. These are alien states. These are not right states. We should say to Allah, thank you for giving me this experience of alienation from you, wherein I've learned to appreciate the beauty that you are. Learn what we are supposed to learn of love, of care, of forgiveness, of controlling our rage, of controlling our anger. It is nothing but the body that impels a religious believer to condemn somebody who is not a believer or not of their persuasion. Trust me, a godly soul sees no distinction between one light of God and another, be a Hindu, Jew, Christian, Buddhist, theist, atheist. Beyond the body, they are untarnished reflections of the same beauty. It is the Maulanas caught up in this body that condemn each other, Maulanas of Islam or otherwise. Our truth is a noble truth. I'm going to finish here, much to your delight. Thank you for listening, by the way. You see, think about God. Think about Him momentarily. It is a great sin against God to think of Him the way we are thinking about Him. It's not right. God is waiting to kill us and to torture us and to... Is this right to think of God in this way? Is it really right? It's offensive to God. Obviously, God doesn't have the emotion of offense, but at some level, He does show offense, right? It is offensive to think of God in this way. It's not right to think of God in this way. We are projecting our insecurities upon God, and then we are frightened of God. Learn to find God. Look, no matter how horrible the mother may be, no mother is horrible, but in the imagination of a child. If we show confidence in our mother, we say, oh mother, look, for you to shout at me and slap me is pleasurable for me because it means you still consider me as a part of you. You are still acknowledging me. Oh mother, I have the confidence in you that no matter how evil I may become, your motherly love will prevail. You will helplessly embrace me and forgive me. And if we show that confidence in the love of our mother will never reject us, will she? Imagine if we showed that confidence in God. Do you think God can ever reject us? But the story of God is well beyond a mother. He is a friend. He is a parent. He is a master. He is everything we can think of. As Hussein says, "O Lord," and I paraphrase most of the time, that at this point now I've begun to understand that in every moment and situation of my life, you were bringing yourself closer to me and introducing yourself to me. In other words, I say, in the care of my father was a glimpse of your care. In the blind love of my mother was a ray of your blindness and your love for me. In the support of my brother was your support of me. In the non-judgmental acceptance of my friend was your acceptance of me. Now, if we find God in all of those ways, then when we are dying, we know that we are going from mere illusions to the real one, the friend of all friends, the parent of all parents, the love of all love, the light of all light. Here, those who are going are in a blessed state, and those who give over the trust of God to God, they stand upon the body and they say, "We give back to you the one who was yours, and you are the best of hosts," as we say in Salatul Janazah. We say that, "Wanta khairu manzulin bi." I finish. Look at the blessed state of the saintly, godly Hussein ibn Ali. The griefs upon his heart were such that even if a portion of that could come upon a lofty mountain, it would crumble. But he is at the body of his youthful Akbar. Now, it's not easy for a man to see this. A parent would hope and opt for death 10 times over before their children die. This is how a parent is. And you do know that as Akbar was going, he said, "Oh Allah, bear witness upon these people," and he cried out aloud. And you do know he prayed for Akbar to come back to him before his martyrdom. At the body of Akbar, he sees his child rubbing his heels upon the dust of Karbala. He sees his child's head wounded with the blow of a spear. He sees his child looking at him as he's breathing his last, as tears fill the eyes of Akbar, as he bids farewell to his father, leaving his father lonely and all alone. Hussein says to him, "O child, God has relieved you of the sufferings of this world by taking you onto himself at this point. He has spared you the ordeals of this world." This is how Hussein sees death. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of our blessed Imam Hussein, his grandfather, and the family of the Prophet, and more than anything, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of his lordship, and for the sake of our love for him, Forgive all those in whose remembrance we have congregated today. May Allah bestow them with His pleasure. May Allah take them into His embrace and complete their light. May Allah fill the hearts of those that they leave behind with patience and gratitude. May Allah increase their light. May Allah forgive our sins. May He allow us to treat His creatures kindly, to care for them, to love them, to forgive them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be pleased with His decree and allow us to thank Him at the point where we meet with Him. Rahamallah man qara al-Fatiha.
Thank you, Sheikh Arif, for those hopeful, inspiring, and deeply meaningful words. Jazakallah. Could we kindly have from the Bojani family, where will we have some words in tribute, please? And come to the podium, Asant.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words about my mother, Amir Banu Bojani. So it's a very brief talk, not one that I have well prepared for. My mum believed in many things. She had a great amount of faith. She believed in family, and she believed in food. So she had faith in God in a way that inspired all of us to believe in more than we did when we were growing up. You end up with a concept of God that is given to you by your family, and then you read and you learn more. So our faith is strong because the faith of my mother was strong. Our belief in family is strong because my mum's belief in family was immense. And she demonstrated that by bringing us up in believing that looking after your brothers and sisters, taking time with family, was as important as spending time with God. So she would combine family events, and they would always start with du'as, recitation of Quran, and then we would enjoy ourselves. And we would normally enjoy ourselves with food. She loved feeding people, and having food and family and faith together in any sort of family event was very important to her. I want to just share some of the wisdoms that my mum gave me as a child, which I thought were immensely important throughout life. I was the youngest of 4 children, and I was the only daughter. And often as girls, we feel very put upon by family. We have expectations of us. Our brothers have privileges that we do not have as girls. Our families expect things of girls that we somehow think they don't expect it of the boys. And whenever I used to complain to my mother, Mum, you know, my brother said this to me, my sister-in-law said this to me, I'm not happy about this, I'm not happy about that. Her wisdom was to say, you have to forget about it. Pulija, we say in Gujarati, forget about it. And I'm like, how can I forget something that is hurting me so much? How do you forget? Right? And her response was, do not waste your time rethinking about things that are not important. Don't dwell on things that are not important, that are worthless. Think about good things. Sara vichar, good thoughts. Don't think about bad things, think about good things. It's a very simple answer to anything that is troubling you. Think good thoughts. And when I say, I can't think of anything good, if you can't think of anything, Tahira, think of God. If you can't think of anything, think of God. Say 2 rakats namaz, think good thoughts. So this was her answer to everything. Faith, you think of family, you think of faith. If you can't think of anything, think of God. It was, you know, for an uneducated woman, she was profoundly intelligent. She always used to say we were never taught to question our faith. When I asked her questions about God, she couldn't answer. She goes, don't know the answer to these questions that you're giving me. Because we were not taught to question, we just believed. And I used to think growing up that blind faith was a silly thing. I thought intelligent faith was much more important, but actually when you think about the acts of devotion that are often done blindly, they're often done with so much more conviction. My mum actually died as she lived her life, trying not to be a burden to other people. Her biggest prayer was always, don't make me majboor, don't make me dependent on others. And I'm pleased to say that she was almost to the end very not dependent on others. She lived her life independently and in her travels, in her life, and of independent thought. I'm very grateful that when she died peacefully and surrounded by the people that loved her. And I pray, as she prayed for us, that she has as much peace in her death as she had actually in her life, with great, with great support of the people around her. Thank you so much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Muhammad wa ahli bayti at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Just wanted to very briefly say thank you, but also to say that for us as Maji, my grandmother, was of course a great supporter of this institute, and so it meant a lot to us that we had this chance to gather together. And, we're very grateful to have this opportunity to also remember Maji alongside Sayyid Raza Fatimi, who I was lucky enough to meet in Qom when I went to visit Sayyid Fatimi's father, and Marhuma Suraya Karimabadi, Dr. Ali Fanai, one of our other esteemed teachers, mother-in-law, and Marhuma Masumbai Manzoor Ali. So we're grateful to have had this opportunity together. Maji herself, there's many things we could say, but she is a person who hosted Sheikh Arif when he was much younger than me, actually now, maybe 40, 50 years ago in her home, alongside one of his teachers, Dr. Howard. Okay, so the relationship with the Institute and with Sheikh Arif goes back a long, long time, well before me. She's, I think, the only one, I hope my family won't mind me saying this, She's the only one of my family who, at least to my recollection, never asked me once, do you think you should be doing a little bit more optics on the side of this house that we study and this, University of Islamic Studies? She always used to say to me, go with the wasila of the Panjada. So we're very grateful to have had this opportunity to remember her here. Yeah, so if we could end with one Surah Al-Fatiha for all of the marhumeen we've gathered for, and all of the marhumeen of those present. Al-Fatiha.
Thank you for those beautiful words, giving us an insight to our dear mother. May Allah bless her and all our marhumeen. As Dr. Bojani mentioned about the Institute, alhamdulillah, is thriving and flourishing, as you can see today in front of you. And this is first and foremost with the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All our thanks are due to Him. But also with the support of its patrons, you. If you wish to know a little bit more about the Institute, you can find me at the foyer by the desk. There are also some booklets there. And consider if you want to support the Institute so that it can carry out and continue its positive and meaningful work. We also want to briefly highlight, as we do at occasions like this, a humanitarian cause. I briefly saw a footage on Afghanistan, and we have talked about Afghanistan in the past. Winter has set in there, and the situation is indeed very, very dire. People are going to the lengths of having to sell not their belongings, not their houses, but their children. Those who are able to keep their children buy sleeping pills in order to give it to their children so they can avert hunger and the pangs of hunger. For the price of one slice of bread, you would get 5 sleeping pills. And this is what they resort to. We have collaborated with Beta Charitable Trust in the past, and we are continuing to do so in this regard as well. Again, you can see me at the desk in the foyer if you wish to support this. Finally, could we kindly remember all of these marhumeen? Marhuma Amir Banu Bojani bint Hassan Ali, Marhum Sayyid Raza Fatimi, Marhuma Suraya Karim Abadi, Marhuma Masuma Bai Manzoor Ali Kanani, Marhum Sayyid Hussaini Nasab, Marhuma Khanam Sultan Akbarpur, Marhum Turab Ali Megji, Marhum Muhammad Rafiq Bai Rashid Dala, and all marhumeen with the Surah Fatiha. Ahsantum. We will end with ziyarah.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله تعالى مخرجه وظهورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Niyaz will be served in the dining hall, which is at the end of the corridor. Ahsant.